What it do, tube? Scotty back at you with another episode of Scotty Says. I just wanted to make a quick Lakers update video covering the last couple games over the weekend. Now, on Friday night, the Lakers played a triple overtime thriller against the Sacramento Kings, in which they ultimately lost. The 8-12 Sacramento Kings, I might add, who were missing two starters, I might add, who they were up, the Lakers were 13 points in the fourth quarter, I might add, and up 7 points in OT. The Lakers were over the Kings. And yet, the Lakers succumbed to the Kings and lost in triple overtime to move to a record of 10-11, under 500 so far, 21 games in on the season. And where to begin with that one? Well, I want to keep the update brief. So let's just say LeBron was cold from three and from the free throw line. In fact, AD ice cold from three. And then only LeBron, AD, and Russ shot free throws. And that's quite a sort of an amazing statistic when you stop and think about it. But what that shows or suggests is that when that perimeter shot's not falling, nobody's driving to the basket. There's no free throws. There's long rebounds. The team's running the other way. And you see the result, a sub-500 team at 21 games. Now, remember, Sacramento's a bottom-feeding team. And so for the Lakers to have this kind of trouble with these kind of teams this far into the season, it's beyond concerning. It's beyond disconcerting. I'm starting to think that maybe the Lakers, as constructed, are not capable of being a championship caliber, championship contending squad. The evidence suggests that they're just an average team of older guys, a collection of stars, sort of like the Rams. And I hope you check out some of my Rams videos. You can put together all these stars, all stars, some of them past their prime, but that doesn't guarantee that the team is going to click. And professional sports still is a young man's game when you get right down to it. Now, most of these guys are in their 30s, mid, upper 30s, and that's young comparatively. But for the NBA, when you've got 20-year-olds running around, you're playing an 82-game grind. You've already accomplished a lot. You're just waiting to get your ticket to the Hall of Fame. It's probably difficult to be up to face these kinds of teams night in and night out. The coaching is suspect, and I've been speaking about that for many, many episodes now. So I'm starting to think, because I said a couple Lakers videos back, or last video maybe even, that I had hoped, maybe even thought, that the Lakers had found their spark. That missing thing, that somehow they found it in Detroit amidst all the chaos. And for them to come back and beat the Pistons, even though they went to New York and lost without LeBron, they came back and followed that up with a win. And I thought, okay, this team's found its way. It's found that missing direction. And then the triple overtime loss to Sacramento. Cowbell down. And now the pattern is inescapable. This team can't put teams away. No matter how far up they go, teams know they can get back in it. In fact, that they can still win. And on the other side of it, when teams run out way ahead on the Lakers, they're not likely going to be able to close the gap and win. And so you see the Lakers getting blown out on one end by the better teams and even some poor teams, and then you see them squandering, choking up leads against bottom feeders. You've got sort of a strange assortment of poorly coached, aging stars on this team. And someone once said that you are what your record says you are. And they're just an average team at this point. Nothing more, nothing less. So the next game up is the Detroit rematch. And of course, everyone wants to see, are there going to be any fireworks? Is this game going to result in more flying, crouching dragons? But the Detroit rematch, Lakers-Detroit, was actually pretty uneventful early on. No bloodshed, or as Chick Hearn would say, no harm, no foul, no blood, no ambulance. I personally, as an aside, love Chick Hearn. Always did. Always will. And last night at Staples, the Palace, was Chick Hearn Appreciation Night. So just as an aside, Chicky baby, there was no one like him. For my money, he's the greatest announcer of all time in any genre, in any realm, okay? So he created so many, the words, the phrases that he put into the lexicon. Slam dunk, air ball, dribble drive, so many. I mean, a lot of his sayings, I still hear them in my head. And the Lakers are the world champions. Just that cadence and the joy, the exuberance in his voice after that. The Lakers are the world champions. And hey, putting them in the popcorn machine and in the refrigerator. And I used to love when he would call something and then it happened and then he would sort of congratulate himself on the call. He'd say, no, watch him. He's deadly from 18 feet. And then he'd hit an 18-footer right away and he'd say, isn't he though? Chicky baby. So, flying through the air with the greatest of ease. One love, Chicky. But back to these Lakers. No bloodshed, fairly uneventful game, but the Lakers showed once again how they are they're unable to hold on to leads. Their demons came back to get them. Their difficulties in closing out bad teams reared its ugly head again. Up 19 points in the second half against the Pistons, the Lakers allowed Detroit to climb and claw back in and to get it down to within 3 points in the fourth quarter. Last night, they did hold on to win, but their record is now just a disappointing 11-11. The Big Three led the way last night, 33-9 for LBJ. Russ had 25, 6 rebounds, 9 assists. AD contributed 24 points, 10 rebounds. He had 3 blocks. It just may be, though, that this team doesn't ever really take off. Maybe they just are what they are. A 500 team. So next up is Sacramento in a rematch of that triple overtime loss that the Lakers just suffered. Still no Rondo. I still don't know what Vogel is thinking. It seems like he's throwing different things against the wall to see what sticks, although I do like the condensed rotations, but it seems too restricted. And Dwight didn't even get any run. So I'm not sure what's going on. But what I will say is the Lakers should never celebrate. Russ, there should be no rocking the baby, the giggling and the high-fiving and the yeah, and chest pounding and all the big balling and all of that. They shouldn't do any of it until the game is actually won. Because until the final zeros are showing on the clock, the Lakers are still subject to lose against any opponent. And that's just the way Scotty sees it. Scotty says, please, if you haven't already, like. Please subscribe, help me grow the channel. Leave me a comment, let me know what you think as always. Until next time, my folks, one love.